San Diego, one person died when a man walked into a Chabad synagogue near San Diego on Saturday, the last day of Passover, and began shooting people inside. Earnest, 19, of San Diego, was in custody, authorities said. 3 others were injured, and the suspect, John T. Earnest is a student at the California State University San Marcos, the school's president said. This individual was with an AR-type assault weapon and opened fire on the people inside the synagogue, said San Diego County Sheriff Bill Gore said. Danny Almog was inside the synagogue when the gunfire erupted and people went to the floor. And I look to the entrance and I see a guy, he was like 5'6", 5'7", white, with light glasses with a vest on, and I think it was an M16, Almog told reporters. And he was just standing there, like shooting everybody. Almog said he started screaming for his kids, who were in another room. His father-in-law grabbed one of his children and ran. A friend, Almog Peretz, grabbed all the kids in his hands and was just running towards the exit. Almog called Peretz, who he said was shot in the leg while escaping with the children, a hero. He said they fled through a back door. As the gunman fled, the Chabad of Poye, an off-duty border patrol agent in the area, fired at him, hitting his car, Gore and San Diego Police Chief David Nisley said at a news conference. Nisley said a San Diego police officer was en route to the scene when he overheard on a scanner that a suspect had called the California Highway Patrol to report that he was involved in the shooting and gave his location. The officer went to the location and clearly saw the suspect in his vehicle. The suspect pulled over, jumped out of his car with his hands up and was immediately taken into custody, Nielsen said. Police saw a rifle sitting on the front passenger seat, he said. Sheriff's detectives and FBI investigators were examining a possible link between the suspect and a March 24 arson fire at a mosque in Escondido, a city just north of Poye. Authorities said graffiti left at the scene of the fire referenced the March 15 attack in New Zealand that killed 50 Muslim worshippers. We are currently working with the Escondido Police Department and the FBI to determine Earnest's possible involvement in the arson at the mosque in Escondido about a month ago. Among the 4 people shot was a 61-year-old woman who died, said Michael Katz, a trauma surgeon at Palomar Medical Center. Gore told reporters. A girl and 2 men, including a rabbi who was shot in the hand, were stable, he said. Gore, who called the shooting a senseless act of tragedy, would not release details of the suspect or a possible motive, saying he is being interviewed by police and the FBI. Poye Mayor Steve Wast said in a phone interview with MSNBC that it was a hate crime, and that will not stand. We are grateful to those in the congregation that engaged the shooter and prevented this from being a much more horrific incident. Passover holiday celebration, online. Chabad of Poye had advertised an 11 a.m., Wast said. Saturday is the traditional weekly day of Jewish Sabbath, and this Saturday was also the final day of Passover, a week-long holiday marking the deliverance of the Jewish people from slavery in ancient Egypt. My deepest sympathies go to the people that were affected, their families, their loved ones, President Donald Trump said Saturday. Obviously it looks right now, based on my last conversations, it looks like a hate crime, he said. Was tweeted that Trump called him from Air Force One and offered assistance. The Chabad synagogue serves as a community center for ultra-Orthodox Jews, and Chabads in general are known for reaching out to non-Orthodox Jews to encourage them to partake in Jewish life and join some celebrations. In October, a man fatally shot 11 people at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh. Suspected gunman Robert Bowers, 46, is charged with federal hate crime and other charges. I want you to know, this is not Poye. Poye is a city of around 50,000 north of San Diego. The Poye that I know comes together just as we did a few weeks ago, in an interfaith event, was said at a news conference. We always walk with our arms around each other, and we will walk through this tragedy with our arms around each other. Law enforcement in other cities, including Los Angeles, San Francisco and New York, said they were closely monitoring the situation. The United States Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington said it is shocked and alarmed at the second armed attack on a synagogue in the United States in 6 months. Now our thoughts are with the victims and their loved ones. But moving forward, this must serve as yet another wake-up call that antisemitism is a growing and deadly menace, she said. Bloomfield said in a statement. Museum Director Sarah J. The Holocaust is a reminder of the dangers of unchecked antisemitism and the way hate can infect a society. All Americans must unequivocally condemn it and confront it in wherever it appears. Almog said there was quite a bit of people in the synagogue when the shooting started. It's 100% that he knew that we have our Passover service over there, he said. Every time in those services we bring our kids, and they play around together while we're praying. Police are investigating possible link between California synagogue shooting suspect and nearby mosque fire as investigators search for answers in the deadly shooting at a California synagogue. Police are investigating the suspect's possible link to a fire at a nearby mosque and taking extra steps to keep places of worship safe. One person was killed and at least 3 others wounded in a shooting at Congregation Chabad in Poye, north of San Diego, authorities said. The San Diego Sheriff's Department said it assigned deputies to religious centers throughout the weekend. While security has been heightened, authorities said it is not indicative of a greater threat. We encourage our communities to continue with scheduled events and other activities as normal, the department said in a statement. The suspect in the Poye incident today has been captured and we believe he acted alone. The suspect in custody has been identified as John Earnest, a 19-year-old student at California State University San Marcos. Authorities are investigating whether he is connected to arson at a mosque in nearby Escondido last month, San Diego County Sheriff Bill Gore said. What happened in the synagogue? Gore told reporters that the gunman was armed with an AR-type assault weapon. A witness told CNN affiliate KGTV there were 6 or 7 shots followed by screams and then another volley of shots. The witness said a wounded rabbi tried to calm the gunman and members of the congregation. Authorities said an off-duty Border Patrol agent, who Gore thinks is a security guard, fired at the shooter as he was fleeing the scene, He didn't hit the suspect, but Gore said it appears he hit the suspect's car. It is unclear why the suspect fled, but it is possible his gun might have malfunctioned, the sheriff added. The suspect fled the scene and called 911 to say he was involved and give his location, San Diego Police Chief David Nislate said. A San Diego K-9 officer arrived and the shooter surrendered without incident, he said. Gore said the suspect was being interviewed by detectives and the FBI. An open letter may give insight. Gore did not comment on a motive, but authorities are aware of an open letter posted online purportedly by the suspect, Gore said in a news conference. Detectives are collecting digital evidence and are in the process of reviewing the online content to determine its validity and authenticity, the sheriff said. CNN has read through an open letter posted to the anonymous message board 8chan before the shooting. In the posting, someone identifying as Earnest references killing Jewish people without making actual reference to Poye, San Diego or the synagogue involved in the shooting. The letter writer talks about planning the attack and references other attacks on houses of worship, including the attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh and the Christchurch mosque shootings in New Zealand. The writer also talks about his disdain for Jews and claims responsibility for a mosque fire in Escondido last month, a week and a half after the attacks in Christchurch. Graffiti referencing the New Zealand mass shooting was discovered at the scene of that fire. The open letter is structured in a similar fashion to the manifesto linked to Christchurch attack suspect Brenton Tarrant, replete with a question and answer section in which the writer refers to questions he comes up with about his character, political affiliation and motivation for carrying out the alleged shooting. The victims. The Palomar Medical Center received 4 patients from the shooting, according to a trauma surgeon. An employee of the synagogue identified the woman killed as Lori K., 60. Michael Katz said. 1 patient died at the hospital, Dr. The other 3 victims are doing well with their injuries, Katz said. A 34-year-old man and a girl had shrapnel injuries. The man was identified by congregation member Ronit Lev as Almog Peretz, who was visiting from Israel. The girl was wounded in one leg and in the face, and was transferred to a children's hospital. She is an 8-year-old student at Painted Rock Elementary and Peretz's niece, Lev said. A 57-year-old rabbi who was shot suffered what looked like defensive wounds to both of his index fingers. He will likely lose his right index finger, the doctor said. He has been identified as Rabbi Yisroel Goldstein, according to Palomar Health Public Relations Manager Daryl Acosta. Congregation member Minu Anwari, who said her husband witnessed the shooting, said the rabbi called for unity and prayed for peace even after getting shot. Rabbi said, "We are united," said Anwari, a refugee from Iran. As the rabbi was rolled into surgery, Lev said he told her that K was killed after stepping between him and the gunman. She didn't die a senseless death, Lev said of her friend. She died advertising the problem we have with anti-Semitism and to bring good to this world because she is the best person I have ever known. The shooting happened at 11:23 a.m. The synagogue's Facebook page said a Passover celebration was scheduled for 11 a.m. ET. 2:23 p.m. Passover, one of the holiest Jewish celebrations of the year, ended Saturday. Yet another wake-up call. President Donald Trump, speaking outside the White House Saturday, told reporters that the shooting looks like a hate crime. Many groups condemned the attack. Moving forward, this must serve as yet another wake-up call that antisemitism is a growing and deadly menace, the Holocaust Memorial Museum said in a statement. All Americans must unequivocally condemn it and confront it in wherever it appears. Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, urged all religions to stand together in solidarity. All of these attacks on these sacred spaces represent a violation of our values that we as Americans hold dear, values of decency, tolerance and respect. Whether or not you go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque, it's standing together with your fellow Americans that matters most, he said. Abbas Barzega, Director of Research and Advocacy for the Council on American-Islamic Relations, applauded religious leaders and urged them to do more. Faith leaders around the world are already doing a great job working together to overcome the shared challenge of extremism, Barzega said. They simply need to tell their story more and better, and most importantly spread that message down to the local community level and challenge hate in their own ranks.